Welcome to the Pinkston Weekly AI Update. I'm Wesley, and this week we're getting started by talking about X's release of Grok 4. Grok is X's, formerly known as Twitter's, large language model tool. And on July 9th, they released Grok 4, which is their latest model, and one that Elon Musk claims is better than PhD level in every subject, no exceptions. Some of the benchmarks coming out from Grok 4 are pretty interesting. Most notably, Grok performed very well on a new benchmark called Humanity's Last Exam. Every time a large language model releases, there always seem to be graphs and charts and things that go along with that release, proving that this model is superior to its competitors. The problem is that some of these benchmarks have just become too easy for large language models to figure out. So the purpose of Humanity's Last Exam was to put together a benchmark that hadn't been seen by LLMs before. And that exam has 2,500 questions. It was contributed to by over 1,000 subject matter experts from over 500 institutions and across 50 countries. And the goal is for this exam to serve as the final closed-ended academic benchmark for AI. If you want to give Humanity's Last Exam a shot, you should check out some of the questions that they have in it. All that to say, Grok 4 performed surprisingly well on the exam. Here's why it matters. First, scoring well on Humanity's Last Exam is actually a pretty impressive feat and backs up Elon Musk's claim that it might actually have PhD level intelligence. This is important to keep your eye on because Grok, unlike most other large language models, has access to X and all the posts and breaking news that happens there. Now, you're probably pretty familiar with some of the drama that Grok being connected to X had last week, but the connection of a highly intelligent AI model with the connection of constant content on the X platform makes it a very unique and interesting player in the space. Next, there's been some reports coming out of OpenAI that they are planning to release their web searching browser within the next couple of weeks. A browser that integrates artificial intelligence in a seamless way is something that OpenAI has been talking about for a while, and the release of this is a shot across the bow of some of the major players in the web search space, specifically Google. And the release of this search engine could continue to chip away at Google's dominance. Google Chrome currently holds over 2/3 of the global browser market, which means that they get to set the rules for search. I mean, there's an entire industry of search engine optimization that really should be called Google engine optimization because of the amount of time and effort that goes into pleasing the Google search engine for your website to be found online. However, as more people use large language models to find information online, it could fundamentally change the way that people browse and fundamentally change the way that organizations and news and blog posts and press releases are found by users. It also begs a question about advertising. Roughly 75% of Google's revenue comes from Google Ads, especially search advertising. That's significant because any threat to Google's search or advertising business is a direct threat to their bottom line. So it'll be fascinating to see how they respond to this new browser coming out of OpenAI.
I love coffee so much.
Finally, let's talk about Slop. AI Slop.
AI Slop is basically the newest iteration of spam. As the CEO of one AI content detection platform put it, not all AI content is spam, but right now, all spam is AI content.
AI Slop refers to low-quality, mass-produced content that was created using generative AI. And people call it slop because it's videos, images, music, audio that's been quickly generated with artificial intelligence and typically doesn't have a lot of originality or value. This has become an issue particularly on YouTube, where in May, 4 out of the top 10 most popular channels featured AI-generated content in every single video. Now, that in and of itself isn't necessarily an issue, but with the rise of generative AI tools, YouTube has become flooded with spammy, low-quality, repetitive, even false or misleading content that's been completely generated by AI. So in response to this, YouTube is updating its policy to crack down on creators' ability to generate revenue from what they claim to be inauthentic or spammy content. This policy is going to roll out on July 15th, and it's going to be fascinating to see what the creator and YouTube community response is to this, and what YouTube views as being AI slop. But most of us aren't popular YouTube creators, so you might be wondering, why does this matter to me? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's highlighting a trend that media platforms are starting to push back against what they deem to be AI slop on their platforms. This comes down to a quality content issue, and it highlights the ever-existent need for original, authentic, and high-quality content on those platforms. As always, there's so much more that we could cover, so much more that we could talk about, so much that's constantly changing in this industry. But those are some of the main stories from this past week, and I'm out of time. So I'll see you guys next week.